We begin today with the so-called Affluenza teen. Do you remember this guy? Remember that term? Ethan Couch killed 4 people in a drunk driving crash, injuring several others. His attorneys argued that his wealth and privilege excused him from his own choices, saying he was never taught right from wrong. That seemed to be enough to convince a judge because Couch managed to avoid any jail time for the deaths and was instead sentenced to 10 years probation. But that was not the end of his story. You see, Couch went on to violate his probation and fled to Mexico with the help of his mother. Eventually, he was caught, and he was sentenced to 2 years in jail for violating the probation. That's what he went to jail for. As of 24 hours ago, Couch is a free man. More now from NBC's Gabe Gutierrez.
Ethan Couch, once known worldwide as the Affluenza teen, walked out of jail Monday. Chaplain Tim Williams, who lost his best friend in Couch's drunk driving crash, says the now 20-year-old is a changed man.
Ethan has made clear to me that he wants to walk that straight and narrow path.
Couch served just under 2 years for violating his probation after killing 4 people and injuring 9 others in a horrific drunk driving crash in 2013 when he was a juvenile. From the start, the case generated one shocking headline after another, starting with the affluenza defense, not a recognized medical condition, suggesting Couch's affluent upbringing left him unable to know right from wrong, and he deserved leniency. Couch was sentenced to 10 years probation and therapy.
Tell us your name, please, sir.
Ethan Couch.
2 years later, Couch was questioned as part of a civil suit by the family of one of the victims. Shortly after that, the story took another bizarre turn. After this video surfaced, appearing to show Couch violating his probation by being at a party with alcohol, he and his mother Tanya fled. The two were tracked down to Mexico and returned to Texas. Then 19, that's when the stiffer 2-year sentence was imposed on Ethan. His mother was charged with 2 felonies, but freed on bail. Then, just last week, she was rearrested for violating her terms of bail after failing a urine test and was sent to the same jail as her son. His critics say 180 days behind bars for each person he killed is a travesty.
I'm horribly offended and I'm horribly angry that our legal system has let down these victims.
Gabe Gutierrez, NBC News, Fort Worth, Texas.
Joining me now with more, Chaplain Tim Williams. His friend Brian Jennings was killed that night that Ethan Couch chose to get behind the wheel. Thank you so much for being here, Tim.
Yes, thank you.
You and Brian grew up together. Ultimately, Ethan Couch served 180 days in prison for killing your friend Brian. What is your reaction, first of all, to that fact? 180 days in jail per victim.
Right. My opinion has been it's never been enough, but it is what the judge ruled. It's the best that they could do. And so we've had to accept it, but it didn't feel right.
Tell us a little bit about Brian.
Sure. Brian and I grew up together in high school and in church, and Brian committed his life to ministry after his senior year in high school. So he really devoted to help kids, oddly enough, like Ethan.
And he was a family man himself.
Yes, yeah, 3 kids, married to Shauna.
And that night, there was a woman parked on the side of the road with car trouble. Brian pulled over to help her.
He did. He sure did.
Told the boys to stay in the truck.
Yes.
And Ethan came by with several kids in his car and ran them down. Ran them down because his blood alcohol limit was 3 times the legal limit, which was shocking and horrifying. And yet, what really made news was his defense of his own actions. When you heard that he was looking to escape responsibility by saying his wealth and privilege led him to not understand that it was wrong to get behind the wheel after consuming that much alcohol, what was your reaction?
It was very upsetting to hear this new word, this made-up word, that I'm too wealthy to have been taught right and wrong. I think that all of us know that even as little kids, we're taught that, in kindergarten onward. So it just didn't really fly with me.
Because it was his choice to consume the alcohol and get behind the wheel at age 16. It was his choice. And that's why Mothers Against Drunk Driving is so angry about this verdict and what's happened with this young man. Because they don't feel that adequate punishment or an adequate message has been sent to society. You're an extraordinary man because not only did you lose your friend in this circumstance, but is it true you went to visit Ethan Couch in prison?
And that is true. After he went to Mexico, the thought came to mind that maybe I should visit with him just to see if there's any hope or to see where he's at. It was that simple.
What happened?
Well, in the transfer trials, when he got captured and he was brought back to Tarrant County, he went through the juvenile system and then was transferred to the adult system. And in those hearings, I just bumped into the sheriff at the time a couple of times. And I asked him, maybe, is it possible to meet with Ethan? Certainly, but, you know, with the glass in between us.
Mm-hmm. And so when you did that, what was he like?
Well, Ethan was in solitary at the time, so it was a video conference for many months, which, as you might imagine, is not very personal to meet this kind of guy, right, through video conferencing. And so he was, of course, shocked with the connection. He didn't understand, why would you be here? Because basically, you know, I feel hated by everybody. And I said, well, yes, but, you know, as a Christian, I'm here to see if there's hope for you. I'm here to see if forgiveness is something you can receive.
Did he want forgiveness?
He felt he didn't deserve it. So he didn't even have the mindset to seek it.
Because when we see him playing the beer pong, after 4 people are dead and a 5th is paralyzed and can no longer speak, and he hurts so many people, and went in there and argued that his wealth excused it, he doesn't have that much empathy from people. Like, we haven't heard the call for forgiveness or the request on his part.
No, we haven't. And, well, the public hasn't. Ethan and I have gone through this. But I would say that, you know, obviously when you look at what he did and then he did again, I think it's easy to conclude, I don't think you're getting it, Ethan.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that now?
I do. I think that it took a lot of time just really helping to discuss, like, things that some parents teach kids, right, and just try to fill in some gaps and deal with some character development beyond the pain and the suffering he caused and all this loss. I mean, that was later.
So, but now that he's out, do you think he's prepared to act as a responsible citizen?
Well, I've said before that I think he has the tools. I think we've spent a lot of time together discussing good character, who you hang out with, influential issues, making wise decisions, not just some impulsive decisions. So I think he has the tools. Of course, the ball's in his court, as they say, right? Like, he has the ability to make another bad choice.
How's Brian's family? How are his kids?
It's really tough. Every time this comes up, you know, it even makes me, you know, get emotional. It's very tough to see the news. It's tough to hear that he got out. It's just very hard.
Wow. Thank you for coming on and telling us your story. I want to let you know that we got a statement from Ethan Couch's attorneys that reads in part, Ethan has admitted his conduct, accepted responsibility for his actions, and felt true remorse for the terrible consequences of those actions. He does not wish to draw attention to himself and requests privacy. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.